So I received this package in the mail earlier today. It's a Chinese DIY guitar kit. I bought it, I think, 4 days ago, so it arrived much earlier than I initially expected. I was expecting maybe 1 month at least. I've been wanting to build guitars for a while, but I don't have any woodworking experience. And also because of the lockdown, I don't have access to a workshop at the moment. So I was thinking I might start with a more accessible kit that I can hopefully just build by myself at home with the tools that I have at hand. And ideally use the things that I learn in the process to maybe work on a bigger project in the future. So anyway, let's see what's inside. I expect this project to take a few months maybe, especially because I'm working, so I don't have all the time in the world to work on this. And maybe the larger problem is that I'm missing a lot of stuff and a lot of knowledge. So I'm going to have to buy some stuff in the meantime, like sandpaper, measuring tools, some primer and paint, and a clear coat that I can use. And I have no idea what else, minor stuff along the way. One other thing that I bought from the same seller is a kalimba. It's a nice little instrument that I only got because it was cheap. And I might use it in recording music, because up to this point I always just try to find the free VST with the instrument that I'm trying to emulate instead of recording it acoustically. There's also this small hammer that comes with it. You're supposed to use it for tuning, but I have to look into it to see exactly how to tune the instrument. So this is the body of the guitar. It has all the woodworking done to it, except for the final finish and paint and whatnot. And I think it's also lacking, yes, it's lacking holes for the neck. I think it's supposed to be a glue-in neck, but I think I'm just going to try to drill some holes and set the neck in that way. Especially if I want to disassemble it later or readjust the neck or the neck angle, it might just be easier. To be fair, the body feels a bit smaller initially than what I expected. But it might also have to do with the fact that it's a headless guitar, so by itself it comes in a slightly smaller form factor. It's still a full body guitar and it has regular scale length. I don't know exactly how long, but I think it's similar to a Strat. With no preparation whatsoever, the neck already fits very tightly. It's a snug fit in the body. So I'm hoping it's going to have enough stability and resonance, and I won't have to do any additional work or any substantial work on the neck to get the proper fit out of it. The kit comes with an instruction manual on how to assemble the hardware and the pickup configuration and wiring and all of that. I think they use the same manual for all of the different guitar shapes and all of the kits that they have in stock. As it happens, the one that I bought is the only one that doesn't show up in this manual. But there is, however, one that's fairly similar. And as far as the wiring goes, I might just find something online and go with a different configuration than the one that's recommended in this leaflet. This bag contains all the hardware for the guitar. It's probably not the best quality, but as long as it works, I'm fine with that, and with the idea of maybe upgrading along the way. Because this is a headless guitar, the tuning pegs are actually placed on the bridge. It's a bridge similar in style to those used by Steinberger guitars. But of course, this one is a knockoff version. So instead of a serial number, or instead of the brand name, it just says Overlord of Music, which is kind of interesting, but you can't really expect much more from cheap Chinese kits like this. And again, as long as it's functional and provides decent tuning stability, it doesn't really matter in the end. The kit comes with a double single coil pickup configuration and one humbucker in the bridge. I think this is probably the ideal format for me, because I usually prefer single coil pickups, and most of the time I play the neck pickup. But it's also nice to have a humbucker in the bridge for higher gain stuff. Otherwise, you just end up with extremely noisy sound. And also in my other guitars, which only have single coil pickups, I almost never end up using the bridge pickup anyway, because I find it has a sound which is way too bright for my taste, or for the music that I usually play. Most headless guitars use double ball end strings, but I think this one comes with a headstock replacement, which is already equipped with an adapter that allows you to use regular strings. You just lock them into place. I chose this kit for a few reasons. In the past, I wasn't a big fan of headless guitars, but somehow I came around and I ended up actually liking them. They just look weird and funny, and I think they're fun to play. The other reason is that I play left-handed, and normally left-handed guitars are much harder to come by compared to regular right-handed ones. And the same applies for DIY kits, unfortunately. So I decided to find one which is right-handed, but can easily be converted to a left-handed version if needed. And there are a couple of factors which come into play for this. First off, the guitar body is symmetrical, which means that you still have access to the higher frets, even if you play it upside down. The other reason is that instead of having a regular nut, this guitar has a 0 fret, which by default doesn't have any string slots. So there's not going to be any need of replacing the nut with a left-handed one to fit the width of each individual string. With this, I should theoretically just be able to swap the string order and be fine with no other adjustments. And finally, if I end up not liking the guitar, I can maybe still find someone who plays right-handed to either give it away to or try to sell to. The neck seems to be in relatively good condition. Just at a first look, it seems to be fairly straight. None of the frets are polished or crowned or leveled in any way. And they also have sort of a patina on them. So I'm going to have to do some fret work on this neck. In terms of profile, it's fairly slim, which is what I like. I think I'm going to try to apply a non-glossy finish to it, because I find that I usually play better on that kind of finish. The body is not too bad either. It's already fairly smooth out of the box. I'll still have to do some sanding before I apply a coat of primer on it. But I'm happy to see that I don't have to do any major rework on it. For the finish, I decided to manually paint the guitar. I'm a big fan of Radiohead, and I think the cover art for Hail to the Thief is a nice kind of art style that would work well with a manually painted finish. It should also be relatively easy to paint, because it's mostly geometric shapes and it has basic colors instead of color blending and more advanced techniques. I decided to do a mock-up version in Photoshop to see roughly what the final design might look like, provided everything goes well, which I hope it will. So in the ideal case, I'm going to end up with something looking roughly like this. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll continue this once I get some files to do the thread job on the neck, and also once I get primer and sandpaper and paint and some clear coat. So I guess see you next time.